Welcome to Menopause Video Podcast from beautiful Victoria, British Columbia. And we're so happy to be back here in the House of Owl filming our second season. Thank you, TELUS. Thank you, StoryHive. We feel very blessed. So much gratitude for giving us a second season. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Today, I've got the wonderful Kerri sitting beside me to start us off with what I hope to be another fantastic season. Welcome, Kerri.
Thanks, Kelly.
As much as I do know you, I've known you for a little while. Maybe you have something you want to share.
Well, I've been in Victoria for about 10 years, and I've had a variety of instances of my life through those 10 years. Most recently, in 2021, I opened Books and Shenigans in Cook Street Village. I genuinely don't think I could have done that without going through the menopause journey, because it allowed me to get rid of a lot of cares and freed me to go with something I thought, pinch me, I can't believe I own a bookstore in Victoria.
Oh my God, I did not know that though.
Yeah.
I did not know that that was a part of the whole story.
Absolutely it is. You can't deny everything that comes together to make something like that happen.
And I will tell you, Books and Shenanigans, it's in my village where I live. Honestly, one of the best little bookstores and I'm a book person. I think all bookstores are great, but Books and Shenanigans is more than just a bookstore. It's like a hub. You've created something that is, I'm feeling emotional, it's created something that the village did not have before, but it's also created conversations that I hear daily that have come out of your bookstore. So I'm just really thankful that you're here. And I love talking to you, but you're always really busy at the bookstore. So today we're going to have a good conversation I do want to talk a little bit about your personal journey. And I will say that for me personally, I didn't even know I was in menopause until I read something that Jan Arden had written. Had I not read that Jan Arden was putting her hats in the fridge and I was putting my hats in the fridge, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm in menopause. So that's my personal story. So tell me a little bit about what you going through the menopause and then things started to happen.
Well, in 2020, there was a bit of a thing going on, and I was in a crossroads of my life, and I was absolutely depressed.
Yeah.
I was having a real hard time getting out of bed in the morning. Yeah. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do anymore. I just had question marks over my head. And I was thinking, well, I think it was 49 at the time. And I'm like, I got to do something with the rest of my life. What is it going to be? And when you think, oh man, you can just do anything. And that's a lot of things. Ruth Bader Ginsburg died around that time. And this seems like a tangent, but it's not. She was like 87, and she worked until the very last day that she died. Yeah. And I thought, so she's 87, and that's 40-ish years from now. What could I do for 40 years? Right. And I went to therapy. I went to a lot of therapy, and you can't deny that there was these hormones and all of this stuff happening while I'm having these questions.
Yeah, because where were you in your menopause journey when you were 49?
Very, at the beginning, here I am at the beginning of it. And it's sort of through, I wrote the LSAT. Oh. I said, I'm going to be like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I'm going to go be a judge.
Oh my gosh. This is new information.
Well,
for you.
To be a judge, you have to be a lawyer. And I said, I don't really want to be a lawyer, though. And so I wrote the LSAT, and I thought about it. And then it was just throwing a lot of things at the wall to get I've always loved books. I've always loved reading. I've always loved bookstores. And I thought, why not give it a chance?
Yeah.
And so when I created the bookstore, I had no idea. I never even worked in a retail job before that. And so I thought I would love to know that I tried to have one before and failed.
Yeah.
More so than just never doing it.
Yeah,
and
I think those are words to kind of live by, right?
Yeah. Like, it sounds cliche, but it's really not. Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? You'd be down a few bucks, probably. The biggest surprise of it is the community. Yeah. And when I was creating the bookstore, I created it for me. Yeah. And people like me. I never worked in retail.
You're likable. Gotta say.
Oh, thanks, Kelly. I never worked in retail before, but I for sure spent a lot of time shopping. So I knew what I liked when I went to stores. And I thought, what's the easiest thing to do is just create what I like. And I think there must be more people that like that. So the biggest surprise that came out of it by creating this space for me and people like me is that it did create community.
It totally did.
And the conversations that I have every single day in the bookstore, and really, they're with women. Yeah. They are with women of a certain age.
Really?
So,
okay.
People are craving these conversations.
Yes, they are.
And they're wanting to have them with the lady that works at the bookstore.
Yeah.
And then I might have a conversation, and 3 more people will jump in on those conversations.
I might be guilty of that for sure, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The community that comes out of Shenigans, I've lived in a few different communities in every range. The village is unique, you know, but that community is even a microcosm of, because people come from outside, like they come from everywhere to go to your store. Victoria is a big book town.
Yeah,
it is. It really is. You couldn't probably go wrong there. So let's talk about that community, because you've got those fantastic book clubs. Yeah. Tell me about the book clubs.
I thought, I like book clubs. Maybe I'll start one book club. And I just started mentioning it to people when they walk in. Started 1 and then 2 and then 3. We now have 18 book clubs through the bookstore. And we have like 150 person wait list to get into these book clubs. It's just crazy. And it's just doing what the community wants. So they were at first started with just general book clubs, and what happens in general book clubs, and why I think it's magical, is that we have people that are in their 20s and we have people in their 80s. This is the range of age of people that are coming to book club. Honestly, primarily women that join book clubs. And so it's meeting people where they are, it's coming and disagreeing in person, it's having this great space that's safe for you to share your opinions. The general book clubs are good that way, but we also have more specific ones, and we actually have 3 queer book clubs so that we're able to support that community. But one that's specific to menopause started with one of my customers. I had a little aging shelf, and she said, Kerri, I would really like to talk about some of these books in your book clubs. And I said, well, we mostly just do fiction. So she goes, well, I would be very interested. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll start rattling that around and seeing if other people are interested. And as you can imagine, huge interest. So we started as Ripening, and now it's changed to Women Talking, a book club.
Both great names, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Both great names.
We didn't want to call it Ripe. So we chose Ripening. It changed to Women Talking, and it is women.
I belong to that book
You're
club.
in that book club, yeah. Women over 40 that just want to talk about all things aging. So primarily they talk about nonfiction books in that, but they're also starting to talk about some fiction books as well. And the conversations are vast, and there's so much learning, because you can learn from an 80-year-old and a 40-year-old and about all of these experiences.
What I have enjoyed about those book clubs is that it's not just all an agreement. There are some very opposite opinions, and during the conversations it's very respectful. The space that you've created in the bookstore for those book clubs is so special too. I just want to applaud you for that.
Well, thanks, Kelly. None of this happens if the people don't show up, and if the people don't show up, and share respectfully and save space. A lot of book club is listening.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that I say to people. You don't get to talk a lot. You're one of 15 people in a circle. So actually, it's just a really good practice for listening.
That's a good point. I never really considered that. But that's very true. Yeah.
But you have to show up. And I always say, like, wow, to all of the people that show up by themselves, they don't know one other person. Nope. You're really putting yourself out there to show up into a group, to share your true feelings about something. Yeah. That's bravery.
And the other thing about the book club I've noticed, and I think this is almost exclusive to Victoria, everybody shows up on time. And if you don't show up on time, like, it's like, I don't know about her or him, and it's like, given the success of Books and Shenanigans, I keep flipping it around.
It's fine. It's very shenanigan-y to do
It's
that,
very
Kelly.
shenanigan-y. So given the success of the bookstore, given that you came into that great adventure, congratulations on embarking on this great adventure during your menopause journey, and now you are further along in that experience, and you're continuously talking to other people who are either beginning the journey or in the middle of it. We're here to talk today about the important knowledge is power, man. And so I am a big go to the experts, go to the people that will give you the good information. That's why you're here. Give us some good information that you can share with us today about why reading about menopause is so important. Let's talk a little bit about the nonfiction books that are recommendations from your wisdom. The importance of fiction books in the menopause conversations. Yeah. Give us your knowledge, Kerri.
Okay, absolutely. My favorite thing to do is recommend books.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's not a stretch for me. My favorite thing is somebody asking me what book can I read. Very easy to pick out a menopause book these days. Yes. Menopause is a hot topic. We get to do this podcast. So you have to be pretty diligent. You can go on the internet and read a lot of different things. Influencers are talking about menopause every 5 seconds anymore.
2 seconds.
And so to pick up a good quality book, I think you want to look at something written by a doctor.
I agree.
That doesn't have, they're not selling products necessarily. That This is just somebody trying to give you information. And I think a current book is also very important because the information is coming out quickly anymore. Finally, we're starting to get some research into menopause because women matter and we're half the population and all of those things.
Thank you. Yes, right, exactly. This is true.
Right off the top, a very easy recommendation is the Menopause Manifesto by Dr. Jen Gunter. Very recent. It came out a couple years ago, maximum.
Shout out to Dr. Jen Gunter.
Yes.
Where would we be without her, right?
And she's Canadian.
So
this is also a hot topic. Right?
Yeah.
So she's a Canadian doctor. She is a women's doctor.
Yeah.
And you can find her everywhere talking about women's stuff. Yeah. And she's right in your face about it. So she's got a great book, Menopause Manifesto.
Yeah.
Mary Claire Haver also has a book. It's called The New Menopause.
Okay.
She's out there too. I follow her. I get her emails. I get her newsletter. So she's also got a menopause book, and it's very new. It's 2024. So that's a good recommendation.
Okay, good. I'm going to get that book.
Fitness-wise, which is also something to think about, The Next Level is a book by Stacy Sims, and she's all about what you can do fitness-wise to manage your hormones and keep your muscle and do some exercises.
I like
this. And she is aiming this at women over 50.
I like this because lately there's been a lot of conversations about hormone replacement, and I was speaking with an expert recently about the fitness part of the conversation that is being neglected because people are going straight to hormone replacement, where they could be doing other, or in addition to the exercises that will strengthen your bones or your muscle mass or all of these things. So thank you for that recommendation.
Yeah,
I hope everybody is watching this episode because what you're doing is you're passing on your knowledge that will inform other people at their own pace. And Yeah, it's one thing to watch an Instagram post or even just listen to a podcast, but when you sit down with a book, that is like that's taking care of yourself.
Yeah. I'm going to go to fiction now.
Okay. Can you explain, please, why you think fiction is so important in this conversation? Because we've talked about it, and I think it's a brilliant
Well, everybody
angle.
learns differently, and my favorite way to learn is through fiction.
Okay.
So you can read an example and see yourself in a character, and you can see this whole thing play out in a story that is easily digestible. You can infer the lessons from it from reading the story.
Right.
You might see yourself in that character, or you might not see yourself at all in that character, but you can still get the lessons and the learnings from watching what they're doing. Through reading this story.
Right.
Right off the top of my head, as far as a fiction book that is menopause centric, is All Fours.
Okay.
By
which I have.
Miranda July.
Yeah.
And books about menopause haven't been so on the nose about, I am writing about menopause, and it's not a silly story. It's quite a serious story, but it's very bizarre too, because it's Miranda July. But she's very right on the nose. She's like, what is going on? I'm going through these feelings. I'm abandoning my family. I'm doing all these things because I don't know why. And then in the book, not to ruin it, but she ends up interviewing a bunch of women about their menopause journey.
Now that's my next book for my one day of reading.
I've been telling you to read that.
I know. Well, I was reading.
I said you're going to love it.
So, I was reading another book at the same time when I started that book.
Yeah.
All about being still and stillness.
Okay.
And it was like these books were not meshing
No,
at
they would
all.
not. No.
I was like.
It's really, it's kind of bizarre, and so it's almost hard to recommend to everyone.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of hard to palate.
Yeah.
Some of it, but the messages are really good in there.
Okay.
And it's just,
I'm in.
Every woman's got a different journey, and it's about calling it out. So that book is right on the nose on menopause.
Yeah.
And so if you were looking to read something, because I do, as my job, is recommend books to people, and I can tell your general age and your life place. I'm like, are you okay with something a little bit weird, but also really nice to read?
I'm sure our, Canadian author, is Miranda July Canadian?
No.
But, you do recommend a lot of Canadian authors.
I do.
Any author would be grateful for your recommendations. I think you should be a book critic, Kerri, honestly.
Wow.
Why don't we get you a column somewhere?
Okay. The other book I read recently is called Liars by Sarah Manguso.
Okay.
And that book is not on the nose about menopause, but she is done with men in that book.
Oh, okay.
And she is just, like, it's not good for your marriage if you're in a hetero relationship, because I was mad at my husband the whole time I was reading this book. But it doesn't call out specifically menopause, but it is. Okay. The rest of the books are, once you know what it is, that is what that is. She is just done with it. She's calling it out. She's got cognitive load. She's got all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's a good book to read if you feel like being mad.
I might be up for that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're looking for being mad at men.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm going into Joy for the remainder.
But it's still really good. I really enjoyed it.
Is it funny?
No.
Oh. Okay.
No, it's not funny.
Oh.
You're just happy it's not happening to you, I'd say.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
The other books that I was going to recommend.
Yeah, please do.
Funny. Sylvia's Second Act.
Okay.
Sylvia's Second Act is about a woman in Florida, and her husband dies in their retirement home, and she picks up and she moves to New York. So this is her in her menopause, getting a whole new life, and it is funny. It's light, but it's also really meaningful about all that you can do on your second act. Yeah. So that's a funny book.
Yeah.
I would absolutely recommend it.
What demographic would you recommend that book to?
Oh, that's a 60 plus, 50 plus.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's for women.
Yeah.
Women that maybe just want to read about life is just going to be just fine, even if the worst possible thing can happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a great message, personally.
I have 2 other books.
Okay.
Ann Tyler. I'm sorry, you told me to recommend books, and
I
now
love
I can't
Ann
stop.
Tyler.
Okay, yeah. Ann Tyler, she just wrote 3 Days in June. It's her daughter's getting married. She's kind of done with things, too. She's cranky.
Yeah.
Ann Tyler speaks with very few words in her books, but there's so many messaging. We did it in some book clubs, and it's just amazing because you have to dig for, like, why is she doing this? Why is she doing this? She's doing it because of menopause, honestly.
Yeah.
She's doing it because she's in this different phase of her life.
I love that you're telling me this, because honestly, this is a good conversation that I hope our viewers take away, that how we haven't connected those dots on so many things, right?
Yes, exactly.
And it's like when you start to connect the dots, it's like you can almost see what's coming. It changes everything, you know. And I'm thinking of my poor mother and my grandmother when they went through menopause. You know, women were hospitalized for many reasons, but menopause, I'm sure, was responsible for a lot of unfortunate wrong diagnoses, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I've got a note here about women talking, you know, the fact that we're talking, you know, and the fact that they made a movie called, it was a book first, right? And then it became a movie about women actually having these conversations. This is so important. And you and I were talking yesterday, I'm going to digress here, about we've got 10 years to organize. Women talking is at the heart of that.
Yeah.
So I am, again, very grateful that we're having this conversation today.
Yeah.
Do we have another book?
Well, I was just going to say pretty much anything by Elizabeth Strout. Elizabeth Strout's, and it's maybe not the right message, but she's kind of a cranky old lady book. And her main character is Olive Kitteridge and Lucy Barton, and they're kind of cranky old ladies, but they're cranky old ladies in the way that they're just not putting up with the shit anymore. Anything by them, but it is having to do the connection to this is where they are at, and because they're at where they are at because of menopause and the life change, right? And they're very well written, beautiful books.
Okay.
So that would be my last one, but ultimately all 4's right on the nose. Everything else you do a little bit more work. To get there.
And as long as they're a good read, and we kind of almost shifted away from books. I feel like, are we going back to books?
You know, Kelly, I wouldn't open a bookstore in 2021 if I thought that we weren't.
Oh, okay, good.
Absolutely, we're going back to books. I think so. We've got, the best thing is I still have young people coming into the bookstore to buy books.
I noticed that.
Yeah, it's actually surprising to me.
So yesterday when we talked about this, you know, how today was going to roll, I asked you if you could find out how much more they're publishing about menopause, because I tried to do the research and I was getting I didn't trust the information that I was getting. Were you able to find out?
No, I wasn't able to find out either, but I will say anecdotally, just the fact that these books are coming out that I've just mentioned are recent publications. And so I can say that nonfiction wise, every season there's probably 5 books I can pick from to bring into the bookstore. Okay. And then fiction wise, this is the way that we're going with these things. More women are getting published, absolutely. And then we're being free to speak about what we want to speak about.
Isn't that the best?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that? I wonder if it's because more women might be at the helm of the publishing world.
I don't know. I think it's the power of women coming. Our 10 years to organize.
10 years to organize. Yeah. I want to fist bump you on that.
Yeah.
We're trying to start something here, in case you didn't know. I know that I have some books that I just want to make shout outs to. Yeah. They were pivotal for me as a young woman. These are books that I read when I was young. And I don't know if they've aged, and I'm not good at rereading books because I'm afraid that that book wasn't as great as I thought it was. Yeah. Are you familiar with The Women's Room?
No.
I read The Women's Room when I was a teenager, and it was a very mature book. I don't know why I was reading it, probably because it was called The Woman's Room. And it was very pivotal for me. So I would like to recommend that. Fear of Flying, I think. Do you have any thoughts on that? Did it age well?
I don't know. I don't have that book in the bookstore.
Oh, Erica Jong?
Okay. Yeah, I do know her, that author, of course.
Oh, Fear of Flying. Yeah. Okay, so I'm saying this. These are the old school books.
Yeah.
Women Who Run with Wolves has made a big comeback.
Women Who Run with Wolves, I currently sell all the time.
It's been, but it just made a comeback. It came out in like the 80s.
Yeah.
And something is resonating. Like I know that something is shifting. I'm happy to see that. That book is definitely a reclamation of many, many, many things. There's another book called City of Ladies, but it's really hard to read, but it was written in the 13th century, and I strongly recommend it.
Oh, wow.
I wish I didn't write down all my authors, but you can Google it, City of Ladies. And it's kind of a fiction, nonfiction. It's kind of based on nonfiction, but I think it's fiction. And then the last book is the strangest book in my memory that I have read because my father actually told me to read it. And it's written by a man, but it's called The Revenge of Molly T. And it is a very strange book about women who become kind of vigilante, right?
Oh, okay.
Against domestic abusers. And I read it when I was 17, and I swear it just kind of laid the groundwork, right? So those are my weird little books. Like, they're not bestsellers. They're probably, some of them were, obviously, but they would be hard to find. But I do want to recommend some of those books.
Okay, cool. I'm going to write Revenge of T down, because there's a book called The Change, actually, very current. It's about women that when they go through the change. Yeah. They become women with superpowers. Oh. And they use their superpowers to take down the very bad man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a very right now book. Yeah.
Oh my God, you got my wheels are turning, Kerri. I think we're kind of coming to a conclusion. Okay. Is there anything you want to add, or?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I need to ask you a question. I'm going to be asking this for my entire season, from all my guests, because I've learned something new. I learn every day. I got to be honest. A day is a learning experience for me. So what can we learn from you today? Give us a menopause hack, if you will, for our listeners, something that they can be like, oh, yes, I can do that.
If I had to use a hack, based on everything I said today, it's very in line with what I said today, is keep talking to people and remove the stigma. Get out of the secrecy of things, because, and it's not just your echo chamber and your people in your circle. Yeah. As much as possible, try to talk to people to find out everybody's experience and try to normalize it so it's not a secret anymore.
That's great advice. And I want to just add what I've learned about menopause that will complement your hack. Menopause hack is that because everybody is different. Yeah. Menopause is different for every single person out there. And so you can't just take one person's solution, because it might not apply to you. Yeah. And that includes like advice and product advice and all of it, right? Because we need to hear from the experts, and those are people who have gone through the experience and are able to write about it. Yeah. Thank you to those writers out there, right? Exactly. And also to the experts. And so thank you for your expertise today.
Thanks for having me, Kelly. It's been great.
Super fun. We're going to do it again.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Perfect. Thank you, everyone, from the wonderful House of Owl, who is so graciously our sponsor here in Victoria. And we really hope to see you for the rest of the season, because we're going to be having so many fantastic experts. And today was super special, and now I'm getting even more excited for what's to come. So Thank you, Kerri.
Thanks a lot, Kelly. That was lots of fun.
Yep.